when I started kayaking in 2014, Mike Druce was my uncle was the head of the slalom team for Australia, so head coach. And essentially, I would go whitewater rafting with him when I was a young kid, so like 6 to 10 years old, whenever I didn't have a frame on my leg, essentially, around Christmas time and all that. So he'd always take us out. When I say whitewater, it was really barely moving water. There's even videos of me trying to paddle and just going round and round in a circle. So definitely not as good back in those days. But yeah, and then in 2014, sprint canoe, paracanoe became a Paralympic sport. We got hold of an Australian contact, Paul Hutchinson, that who was the president of the club, the founder of the club, who helped me learn how to kayak essentially through the various other volunteers in the club. And then I went to my first state championships and got put on the long list for Rio, which was beyond a thought at that time because I was still focusing on swimming. And then went to nationals and finished second, and all of a sudden I was on the world championship team, and it just kept progressing from there. Even dropped the paddle and hit myself in the face at my first world championships, but yeah, still managed to get to Rio after that. So I was the youngest person to ever compete at a senior sprint world championships. I still believe that I am. So to do that at 15 years of age, I had so many nerves, so many emotions going through my head. Had mum and my nan in the crowd, and then during the final, the way a kayaking race goes is you pull into these start buckets, and there's speakers on either side of you that purvey the competitors hold your boat, ready, set, go. But I was so nervous and so in my own little world that I didn't hear any of that. I just saw the bucket drop in front of me, and my hands were still down by my side. So I went to pick up the hands real quick, and then the top hand, the paddle slipped out, hit me in the face. So it was actually the best race I've ever had after that moment, because I think it just really fired me up. But, well, best race I've ever had to that point. And then, yeah, finished 18th in the world. I had a lot of work to do, and not even the coaches believed I was going to make it at that point. So, like, one famous story is I had the head coach actually talking to my parents while I was out on the water for the race, saying, essentially, it's a shame that we're only going to have 5 in Rio. I was the 6th because I was pretty well counted out at that point. And then we got into the race started, and this is a 200-meter race. At 100 meters, I was a boat length behind everybody. So it's not a place you want to be. But because we work so hard on our back end on fitness, where a lot of countries don't, I pulled that back in the second half and just managed to get over Serbia by 1,000th of a second, which we were sitting there for a couple of minutes on the water thinking who won, who's going to make it. Yeah, so, and then that was the moment I knew I was going to Rio, so that was a ecstatic moment for me.